So I wanted to ask you, what does it mean for Indeed to invest in BIPOC creators like this?
So we purposefully chose BIPOC because we could have just said people of color, but we really wanted to center Black, Indigenous, and of course all people of color in the process, because the film industry is woefully underrepresented with the BIPOC community. So that's where we're starting to make sure that we are saturating the industry with amazing creatives that never had the opportunity to get in. But within the BIPOC community, it's very intersectional, right? So you have women, you have people of the LGBTQ plus community, you have all of these things that are not just centered around BIPOC, but we wanted to make sure that we were getting more BIPOC creatives within the film industry.
So obviously through this initiative, you have a lot of people applying that are people of color. What do you have to say to people who say that it's difficult for them to find creatives of color, and it's difficult for them to be able to find a number of people who are doing exactly what it is that you guys have invested in?
I love when people say that. People often say that about the film industry, the tech industry, every industry where we're underrepresented, but we're out here. We're out here. And the issue isn't that the talent isn't there. The issue is that the opportunities haven't come. And so I would say to any company that's saying, well, we can't find filmmakers of color, you're not looking hard enough.
Absolutely. How do you think a program like this changes the lives of the filmmakers, of the people who are telling you stories?
Yeah, so, the filmmakers, even though we do 10 each season, the filmmakers create hundreds of jobs for others. Right, so their lives exponentially change when we do the premiere, their film show at Tribeca, but they also go on, right? The films live, and they're not exclusive to Indeed. So whatever money they make, whatever they choose to do with their art after this is solely theirs. And I think, giving them the exposure of Tribeca is pretty huge. And so a lot of times with season 1, a lot of their careers completely took off. They're directing, they're doing feature films, or winning other awards. They've won some other awards at Tribeca. And I think for season 2, it's going to be the same. So this is the world premiere for these filmmakers, and from here, we're going to support them along the rest of their career.
And last question, what would you say to people who are looking to apply to the program in the future? What
do
kind
it.
of advice can you give them?
I would say do it. Shoot your shot. There are some who applied season 1 and didn't get in, and maybe got in season 2. There are people who applied for both and need to try again for season 3. There are 10 coveted spots, and we get 850, 900 applications each time that we open this up. And so I would say if somebody is really interested in their writing, do it. Continue to apply, continue to express your art, because the opportunity is going to be there for you.
I like one more question.
Yep.
Okay, what are your hopes and dreams for the future of this program? Like, how would you like it to grow?
My hopes and dreams for the future of this program is that it's not just Indeed. I hope that this becomes more of a movement for the entire industry, that they see that this works, because our filmmakers are creating excellent art. Just excellent art. They don't view it as some diversity program or some corporate program. These are just amazing filmmakers who have wonderful art to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can you tell our viewers a little bit about what your film is?
Yes, my film is about a former astronaut struggling to connect with her unborn child after losing her partner on a space mission.
And where did the inspiration for that come from?
Wow, the inspiration of that came from my own relationship with grief and love. And my father passed away a few years ago. And as I processed that grief, I realized at the core there's love. So I wanted to tell this really big queer love story that also tackles.
And what prompted you to apply to this initiative?
So I applied to Indie Rising Voices on a whim. It was like 3 days before the deadline, and I just decided to go for it because I was at a point in my career where I didn't know really what to do next, and I was kind of in a lull period, and I needed some encouragement and something to move forward. So I just applied for it, I went for it, and here we are.
And what does it mean to you to be a filmmaker as a black woman?
As a black woman, it means everything to be a filmmaker because we need to tell our stories from our point of view with empathy, with understanding, and with sensitivity. And I don't think black women get sensitivity or cared for on the screen. So as a black woman, it feels like my responsibility to give us moments of care that we can see.
And what has it meant to you to receive the support of Indeed, of Lena Waithe, of Hillman Grad?
It's meant like the world to me. Like as a filmmaker, sometimes you just need people to tell you can keep going. And this was like the push that I needed to keep going, and it's just truly been a boost of confidence.
Any last words you want to say? Or?
Watch Amina, watch the short film Amina on IndieRisingVoices.com.
So could you tell our viewers a little bit what your film is about?
Absolutely. So my film is, at its core, it's really about like the immigrant spirit and the sacrifice that like a person that's new to the country makes, but also the sacrifice that their first generation kids make. And so it's kind of about, it highlights what it is to live that experience and have to make those tough sacrifices of spending time apart. At its plot, it's about a mom who lives as a live-in caretaker with someone, so she can't spend time with her kids. And they all bond through their love of baseball, and they have a moment where there's a historic game on TV and they're trying to share it, but the mom has to like run off and take care of the person that she looks after. So she's trying to rush through the house to get back to be with them. And that's what the film is about.
Where did the inspiration for the film come from?
It's actually based on my experience. When I came here, my mother was a live-in caretaker, and so I wouldn't see her but like once a month. And the moments that we shared were very rare, and she was missed at home quite a bit by my sister and I. And so I took inspiration from that and the fact that my mom played softball when she was in El Salvador, and my love of the Dodgers in Los Angeles. And I took inspiration from all of that and put the story together.
What has it meant to you so far to be part of this program?
For me, it's been incredible because it's the first time I've been encouraged to use my voice and to not pull away from it in any way, to actually lean into it and to make sure, that specificity of my experience, culturally and otherwise, come forward and to share that. And so for me, that's the biggest thing. When I see my film, I see myself, and that's a very rare thing for me. And so that's what the program's meant to me, is just being able to actually express myself in my totality and my experience, as an immigrant and as a person who grew up here and having the first generation experience. And so that's meant the world to me, to be honest.
So can you tell our viewers a little bit what your film is about?
Absolutely. My film is Into the Camera.
Whichever you're comfortable with.
I'll talk to you.
Okay.
My film is called The 25th Filial Exemplar. It is about a man who dresses up as his late sister to help his mom deal with grief, and also to prove that he's the most filial son. It's an exploration of caretaking, mother and child relationship, and death.
And where did you get the inspiration for that?
I was inspired by a newspaper article that I read online, and I saved it a while ago, but when this competition came up, I thought it would be the perfect story to talk about it, to use it for the film, because, the competition is about the power and meaning of work. And I think caretaking is a kind of work that's unrecognized and often unpaid, but it's also mostly the most important, the most meaningful of work.
And what has it meant to you so far to have the support of Indeed, the support of Lena, Hillman Grad? What has that been like for you?
It's been a huge validation to have the support from Human Grad, from Lena, from Indeed, and everybody else. It really boosts my confidence to be a filmmaker with something to say. Yeah.
And how do you feel like this program is going to change or influence your career moving forward?
I hope that all of us, including me, would take the next leap in our careers, to do bigger things, features, television, big commercials. Judging from last year's filmmakers, I think hopefully we'll get similar experience. Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about what your film is about?
My film is about a trans girl who works at her mom's Korean restaurant to be able to afford her breast augmentation surgery. And throughout those few weeks that she's there, she makes something spicy, she goes a little crazy, and they mend their relationship.
And where did you get the inspiration for that?
I actually worked with my writer who came up with the story from a very personal place. She's a trans Korean woman, and I'm very grateful that she trusted me to bring that story to life.
And what was that collaboration process like, working with your partner?
We've worked a few times before. I think it took a lot of honesty and a lot of vulnerability to really let our egos go and find the best way to bring the story to life together. Yeah, I think film is a collaboration by nature, so to bring that into the directing space and into the writing space, I think helps the film even better. Yeah.
And can you talk a bit about your experience in the program? What sort of mentorship you received? What sort of advice?
Yeah, our mentor was Justin Chan, and he gave some really helpful advice. I think there were a lot of moments where we wanted to, I think through the process it's very stressful, and you put a lot of your self and identity into it, and there's a lot of notes that you're getting, and it's easy to get like disheartened throughout the process, but he really helped us tap into the reason we were telling the story, and to keep fighting for the original vision that we wanted to tell. And I think it was a beautiful experience, just even being here today and like being at Tribeca and all the experiences we've had so far. So I'm excited to see where it goes. So.
And what does it mean for you to have your work shown at Tribeca?
I think it's crazy that even before we finished the project, it was going to be shown at Tribeca, and that was like just a crazy thing to know that they trusted us already with the vision that we had. And I think like now that it's screening at Tribeca, we're meeting so many people are talking about the coming to the screening. I think it's just like higher, you're just like elevated to a new level. You're meeting people that you never thought you would meet. People are watching your film that you never thought would even know that you're making work. And I think it's just, you don't often get to this level until you've like worked for like so much time. So it's beautiful to like know that we're here and be invited to all the parties and the events and everything. So.
And a last question, what does it mean, the term rising voices, what does that mean to you, to be a rising voice as well?
I think it acknowledges the fact that we haven't gotten to that point that everyone thinks is the arrival point, but it emphasizes the potential in your voice. Like we're grateful for people to have tapped in and see the potential that we have, and someday make something bigger, make something greater. And so I think it's just an investment into that future, the future work that we're gonna make, and they see the seed there that's gonna grow.